get ready with me for a dinner party. I'm having a few friends over tomorrow, and I'm doing most of the prep for the food today, at least whatever is possible. So, the first thing I'm doing, I have two chickens here. I spatchcock them, and now I'm going to dry brine them in the fridge until it's time for me to cook them tomorrow. So, the first thing I'm doing is just patting them dry. I am doing two different chickens. I'm dry brining both of them though. So I have a mixture of kosher salt and Korean seasoning salt, which has MSG in it. I have some za'atar seasoning, and then I also have a lemon pepper seasoning. I'm going to do one of each for each of the chickens. And I'm going to start here by salting them. And I also like to actually like lift the skin up a little bit so I can get some salts in between. This is gross, I know. And I'm going to do this for the seasoning and as well as the salt. Okay, now I'm going in with the za'atar seasoning and putting it on this chicken. A dry brine chicken is actually, like, contrary to what it sounds like, one of the best ways to get a very juicy chicken. The za'atar chicken is done. And next I'm going to do the lemon pepper. And I did the salt on both of them already. When you're doing this, you want to wait at least 24 hours or else you're not really going to get the full effect of dry brining. So now that part's done, I'm going to take off my gloves and wash my hands and then put this in the fridge. I am also going to be roasting some vegetables tomorrow. So I'm just going to chop and wash those now so that I don't have to worry about doing it tomorrow. And I got this really gorgeous orange and purple cauliflower from the farmer's market the other day. These are like one of my favorite things to cook. They just look so pretty and beautiful, and they add so much color to your dishes. Okay, purple one next. God, and this is just such a gorgeous purple. Purple's my favorite color also, in case it's not clear by my logo. Tomorrow I'm gonna just toss them with some olive oil, salt, pepper, and some spices and roast them until they're a really nice, like, golden color. And sometimes a little bit of a char on the top is nice too, but not too much, just a little. I have some potatoes. I'm gonna parboil them in salted water, maybe add a touch of rosemary. And as soon as they're like easily stickable with a fork, I'm gonna take them out, let it cool completely, toss them in olive oil, and then stick them in the fridge so that I can make smashed potatoes tomorrow. Yeah, I'm also going to be making some mac and cheese for tomorrow. I'm going to essentially do everything except for bake it today. I'm using some Cabo cheddar cheese. This is my favorite one for mac and cheese. I weighed out my cheddar, so now I'm just gonna start grating. There's a little bit more than I need, a couple ounces more, but I don't know if everyone's like me and needs a little snacking cheese while they're grating cheese. It's hard not to eat some of it. Now I'm just measuring out everything I need for the mac and cheese outside of the cheese because that's measured out already. I need half a pound of cavatappi. Cavatappi. Now I feel like I'm questioning how I'm saying it too much. Cavatappi. Half a pound of this. This is the best pasta to use for mac and cheese. I feel like most of us are on the same page with that now. So I just put the pasta in the pot. I like to do it like a minute less than al dente when I'm doing mac and cheese because it's going to keep cooking a little bit in the stove anyway. I weighed out the flour and butter that I'm going to use for the roux, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on that now. I added some half and half and just a little touch of heavy cream to the roux, so now it's bechamel sauce, and maybe it's still, I'm forgetting. Uh, but bechamel, roux, whatever, it's going to be mac and cheese. Basil, some oregano, some black pepper, salt, of course. I put both regular salt, regular kosher salt, as well as MSG salt. And then a little pinch of cayenne pepper and a little pinch of nutmeg. I'm letting this simmer and thicken a little bit longer before I start adding in the cheese. So I just took the bechamel off the stove. The way that you know it's ready to add the cheese in terms of the thickness is when, if you stick a clean spoon in, it leaves like a nice thick coat on the spoon after you take it out. It's so counterintuitive, but like, you need to add the cheese after it's cooled a bit. I've generally found, like, if you put like a little drop of it on the back of your hand and that's not painful, like it's hot but it's not painful, that's when you should add the cheese in. It doesn't taste completely there right now, but after I add the cheese in, I'll taste it again and then add a little bit more salt. I'm just gonna test a drop on my hand. Oop, too hot. I grabbed a spatula instead. It's a little bit better for folding in the cheese. Add another handful. So needed a little bit more pepper and a little bit more salt. A little bit more than that for salt. So I'm going to stir a little bit more and taste it again. I keep 2 spoons to taste foods. So I have one that I actually put in my mouth and then one that I just drop onto. I'm adding a touch more cayenne pepper, maybe a little bit more than a touch. I just want to be able to have that little hint of a kick. Not spicy, but just so you know that it's there. Okay, I think I've hit the mark on flavor now, so I'm going to add the pasta in. Tomorrow I'm going to top it with some mozzarella and breadcrumbs before I put it in the oven, and then I'm going to bake it. I always like to make just a tiny bit more sauce than what you need for the amount of pasta, just because I'm worried about it being dry. I almost forgot. I usually put a layer of now like freshly grated mozzarella, low moisture mozzarella in between these. So I'm going to grate a little bit of cheese. Oh, that looks beautiful. I love mac and cheese so much. Anytime there's a food I love, I usually try and figure out how to perfect making it myself. Does it? That's okay. It's okay to sound pretentious from time to time. And doesn't my mac and cheese deserve pretense? I just finished dishing this up. I'm going to put it in the fridge overnight, and I don't know, like an hour before people come over, maybe 2 hours before, I'll start baking it. After topping it with cheese and breadcrumbs, of course. Oh my God, Chris. We should dip chips in this when the food gets here instead of queso. It's kind of like queso. We have chips. Should I try one? My God. That sounds amazing. I've decided I'm going to use the leftover sauce to basically make queso to go with the Mexican food that we ordered. I am not cooking the same night that I'm cooking, basically. I'm just going to put this in a little dish and then add a little bit of milk of mozzarella on it. And I added some more cayenne pepper and a pinch more salt. And I added some chili powder too. Okay. Put that in the toaster oven. Now I'm just quickly going to make a vegan olive oil cake, a vegan vanilla olive oil cake. I'm using this egg replacer and oat milk instead of like regular milk and eggs. Although I always use oat milk for this, even when I'm not replacing the eggs. Okay, so I just mixed together the sugar and the egg replacer. Now I'm just measuring out the olive oil that I'm going to put in. Now I'm adding in the milk. I'm using cake flour instead of regular flour. Always makes for a nicer cake, I think. 188 grams of salt, 1.5 baking powder. I have this written down in my notebook. I don't know this one by heart. Add in a teaspoon of vanilla and a 1/4 teaspoon of almond. 8-inch cake pan with avocado oil quickly. I'm just going to put this in the oven at 350 for 25 to 30 minutes. So I was rushing yesterday, so I'm actually going to be remaking the olive oil cake because it has like some clumps of flour in it, and I didn't remember to sift the flour. And also it collapsed in the middle because I took it out a little bit too soon. So redoing the olive oil cake. Gonna follow the same process, except I'm actually gonna sift the flour this time. Okay, so let's finish getting ready for dinner tonight. I have the chickens out there. My mic decided to stop working mid-sentence, so we're doing a voiceover instead. I am working on some smashed potatoes right now. I have the potatoes that I boiled and then tossed in olive oil yesterday, and I took them out the fridge. I am just smashing them down between a plate and some wax paper using a glass and putting them on a sheet pan to roast. I'm tossing them with some olive oil and some freshly ground black pepper and salt, and also checking on some bread that I have in the freezer at the moment. While I'm getting these ready, I'm adding a little bit of garlic and rosemary to the pan. I find that adds a little bit of that additional flavor to the smashed potatoes usually, so I like to do that. Everyone loves garlic and rosemary, at least I hope so. I'm doing a little oven reorganization just so that I can fit the next pan of chicken into the oven, and continuing to chop up some garlic and shallots, and then also adding in some rosemary, some thyme, some sage, as well as some peppercorns to a little bowl that I am going to be using just to prep my ingredients for the pan sauce or gravy, whatever you want to call it later. I usually like to deglaze the pan with some white wine first. I'm cutting up some cheese to go with the bread that I have reheating in the toaster oven. I like people to have a snack before the food's ready, so just making sure that's done. The pan sauce is going now. I started by deglazing the pan with some white wine. Then I added in the shallots, the garlic, the herbs, as well as some peppercorn and stock. The food's all done, and I'm trying to be a good host, so it is time to stop filming and it's time to start eating.